Welcome to
Hi,
Real Talk
welcome.
with Docs. She's Dr. Mia.
Hello, hello.
I'm Haley Morris. And today we're going to talk about breath work, breathing. We all do it.
We all do it.
And you can unlock so much healing power with just your breath.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. And it's interesting because I come from a family, I'll tell you what I think is interesting. Okay?
Yes.
I come from a family where Reichian Breathwork and chiropractic were the main treatments, the main healing that took place in our family. We didn't go to the medical doctor. I was not taken to the hospital ever. There was nothing wrong with me, truly. You know, a stomach ache was a stomach ache. It was identified first, was there some form of nerve interference someplace in the spine? Let's remove that. And if it was still there, then I was breathed until I released, to let loose of whatever was happening. I could relax enough to either release, evacuate, or have whatever was in my system be expelled.
And when you say breathed, what were there specific techniques used, or was it a general, okay, we're going to sit down and do this?
There's always in my family, in the Reichian breathwork, it is always a balance between the parasympathetic breathing and the sympathetic breathing. Breathing into the belly, activating cranial nerve 10, bringing up, making the body go from a sympathetic state, or helping, I should say, go from a sympathetic state, which is fight or flight, where it's fear-based, you've got to get out of there, you're tight, you're tension-filled, everything hurts, to a parasympathetic, relax, rest and relaxation, deep breath, that type of thing. So, yes.
And this was from a young age.
Oh,
from the beginning.
From the beginning. As a baby, I was never stopped from crying. I was,
Right.
My needs were always met. People have a really hard time with crying, with sounds, with emoting what it is that you're feeling on the inside.
Yeah, coming from a family that suppressed those things from an early age, I can say, is damaging.
Very damaging.
And it carries through for the rest of your life.
Well,
if you allow it.
Absolutely. Well, it does. It becomes part of who we are. You grow with the fossilized emotion in your musculature, in your pelvis, in your jaw, in your lungs. You are stopped. If you are stopped from expression, if you're told not to express, not to cry, suck it up. I mean, how many times have I heard someone say, change your face, change your face?
Yes.
What the fuck is this child supposed to do? How do they change their face? They have to hold really, really, really tight on the inside.
I resonate with that 100%. Just as you're saying this, things are coming up from mother, from grandmother, from father.
Right.
Yeah.
And it is a learned behavior. And what happens to us is that from early on, you begin to build what's called armoring. Dr. Wilhelm Reich, who was the father of Reichian breathwork, and he explained that as we grow and you are not allowed to express what it is that you're feeling. The body has a language, right? We all know this. And the body does not speak in terms of words, it speaks in terms of feelings.
Yes.
Crying, screaming, yelling, all of these things, going to the bathroom, all of this. Okay, these are ways, headaches, these are ways that your body expresses and lets you know what's going on. It's your conscious job to interpret it, to understand it. And if you are constantly stopping yourself from expressing, your interpretation becomes thwarted, it becomes mangled, it becomes something else. And now you see that feeling, that armor, your perception goes through the armoring, which is you should not express, you should not feel. And when that, go ahead.
I was wondering, while you're saying this, how you feel about the breathe through it. How does that resonate with you?
Absolutely. You've got to breathe through what it is that you're feeling. If you have a contraction, right? If you get a muscle spasm, and if you hold really, really tight to that muscle spasm and you don't breathe, it's not going to release. As you breathe, you are now flooding the system with oxygen, which is then going into the bloodstream, it's
through
relaxing,
the musculature.
but the musculature begins to relax. The stress, the cortisol that was in there begins to dissipate.
Yes.
And now it's replaced, the deeper you breathe, it's replaced by oxytocin, which is a feel good. And then and eventually that just switches and the muscle completely relaxes.
And they teach you in massage therapy school, like, you breathe with your client. This is part of your job, is to learn how to breathe with your client. And when you're not, you can feel the dysregulation happening. You can, when you're connected with them as you're working on them, and they hold or they tighten or something is not functioning properly, if you're really in tune with them, which you should be, you can feel it.
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Back to that was a great intro. Thank you.
That was the intro.
Just diving right into it. Tell us a little bit more about your how you became a chiropractor. Tell us a little bit. I know you were raised in a family of therapists of all sorts, right? Am I on the nose?
Yes and no. I was raised in a family of Reichian therapists and chiropractors. So it all started with my father, Dr. Philip Curcuruto, who graduated chiropractic college in 1927 in New York Chiropractic College. It's in Longavere.
Amazing.
And he, in his life journey, he read Reich's work coming out of chiropractic college, and it resonated with him. It basically explained the emotionality and how the emotional stress affects the body. In chiropractic, there are three kinds of, it's not just chiropractic, but with that chiropractic, in the chiropractic philosophy, we address three kinds of stress: chemical, physical, and emotional stress. In Reichian therapy, we address the armoring.
Yeah.
You're not.
And when you're explaining this, I'm hearing nervous system regulation. Yeah.
It's all nervous system.
Yes.
It's all nervous
We're
system.
ruled by our nervous system.
Your brain is your nervous system.
The easiest way to calm it, love it, take care of it is through breath.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Amazing. So you grew up in this
So,
environment.
okay, thank you, because I'm like, where am I?
That's
What
okay. That's okay. That's what I'm here for.
Keep in mind, I am full-blown menopause, so my memory is really not as good. I may forget what I'm saying in the middle of the sentence.
You're not the first person to tell me about that too.
Oh, God.
Just a side note, I have a question about that. Does breath work help you get back on track or help with menopausal symptoms? Total side note, sorry.
Total side note. It's yes and no. It depends on where you're starting. Right? So anytime you are going to breathe into the body and release the musculature, release the stress that has been there for however many years you have been alive.
Yes.
It's going to help to ease certain symptomatology.
Yeah.
But
depending on how far along you are.
There comes a point, it doesn't matter who you are, where your memory just starts to go.
Yes.
Just depends.
Yes.
You know, it's like, hello.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how many walnuts you eat.
Well, yes, you can mitigate the effects, and that's part of what we at Breathe Health Center, in downtown Berkeley, Breathe Health Center, and in Emeryville. Our motto is to live your cure.
Yes.
And in living your cure, it's just that, it's participating daily in your health, in your restoration of cells.
And you've said something that's resonated with me, and I think about it almost every single day. Health is a journey, not a destination. your health, your wellness is an ongoing, just like how we breathe. It
Exactly.
is an ongoing experience, and when you're not filling your cup up, when you're not adding self-care routines, when you're not breathing and
Yes.
breathing through it to bring it back full circle. What are you doing? What are you doing to yourself?
We're suffering, saying it's okay to suffer.
And
That's
it's
what we're
not
told.
okay to suffer.
It's okay to feel good.
Yes, it's
I
okay to
ask-
feel good.
I ask my patients all the time, you know, what makes you feel good? I want you to do something today that's gonna make you happy. It's gonna make you feel good. So you're flooding your system with the feel-good hormones,
Yeah.
the feel-good
I'm glad
chemicals.
that you mentioned that. I thought it was odd for me as a massage therapist to leave my clients at the end of their session when they come out of the room. I tell them, go stay in your bliss. Go do something
Right.
that makes you happy. If you want to go watch a movie in the cinema by yourself because
Do
that
it.
makes you happy. If you want to go ice skating because that makes
Exactly.
you happy. If you want to call that friend because they make you happy, go do. Don't just let it stop in the treatment room when you leave. You know,
Absolutely.
you need to carry that feeling on with you. And when I get a really good massage, I feel it with it, like at the 72 hours afterwards. I stay in my bliss for that
Right.
time when I
Right.
get a really good massage, or maybe I've given into it too.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Back to breath work.
Well, are we going back to breath work, or do you want to know my history?
I want to know your history.
Let me get it out.
Yes,
Let me get it out.
yes.
So, my
We all need to
father
know.
found Reich, met with Reich, explained, they had a great, meeting of the minds and understanding. My dad was seeking the therapeutic work, he needed it, and he explained the chiropractic philosophy and basically how the therapeutic work of the Reichian work was almost the psychotherapy, so to speak, for chiropractic.
Okay.
Because it's a somatic work. Psychotherapy generally is a verbal, with a medical doctor, and you're sitting and you're going through
Talk therapy.
It's a talk therapy.
Yes.
Reichian therapy is not a talk therapy, it's a somatic therapy. You're breathing, you're feeling, you're expressing. Your therapist is watching your body and helping to release what's going on, what they see right then and there. And years and years of holding patterns are disassembled each session.
Is it
Chunk by
safe to
chunk.
say that you're going back to roots? Like the roots of primal existence. Like,
You're going, it's, I understand the question, and yes and no. You are allowing yourself to speak the language of the body.
okay.
Not the filtered language of the body, which is, I have a headache.
Yeah, which is a lot
I have
of
a
frontal
stomach
lobe
ache.
stuff.
It's not that.
Yeah.
If you have a headache, you close the door, you do whatever you need to do, you're silent, you feel, you let it out, you go through whatever you need to go through. If you have pain, then it's learning to express that you have pain.
Okay.
Not to stifle it and swallow it and ignore it, but when something hurts, we should respond to
address it. Yeah.
We should respond
Why
to
a
it.
mask?
And that response needs to be loud, needs to be expressive. You need to get it out.
Yeah,
So-
it needs to come out.
With my family, that is where the basis is, and my father taught. He came from the East Coast to the West Coast, bringing Reichian therapy from the East Coast to the West Coast, and then eventually he hooked up with a college, and he taught a PhD course in therapy, in Reichian therapy, and there are a
Amazing.
number. Pretty much, I'm almost positive, I may be going way out of my jurisdiction here, but I'm almost positive if you find a Reichian therapist in the Bay Area, they have somehow been taught or went through the course
Through that
with my
course.
father.
Amazing.
Or somehow is, related in some way or another.
And just for everybody at home who doesn't know, what is his full name?
Dr. Philip Curcuruto.
Perfect. So do you want to do some research on that?
You can. I don't know that there's a lot, but I think you can. You
Yeah.
absolutely can.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
This is great. This is great stuff. So, with that said, I think we talked about why breath matters. but we can dive more into that.
Now,
Yeah.
okay. Why does breath matters? Because if
Why?
you're not breathing, then
What
what
are you
happens?
doing?
What happens if you stop breathing? You know, tissue dies. It
Tissue
stops.
dies. Okay, from a more scientific point of view, tissue dies. That is, you armor. Your tissue is dying. You're suffocating. And
Armoring is creating suffocation in tissue, and your body will absolutely. I had a professor once that it will sacrifice tissue to save the whole. So this is where we start to get disease process. Dis-ease becomes disease.
Yes.
The longer you hold your breath, the less that you express, the tighter your musculature becomes, the more fossilized the emotion becomes. It's stagnant in your system, and your body will create disease to try and to kind of like hoard it off.
Yeah. Who is going to benefit the most from Reichian breathwork?
Anyone who has woken up this morning and said, my body doesn't match the feeling inside.
I think that's a lot of people.
It is a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
And there are a lot of different avenues in which, I have group therapy in which I also work with people one-on-one. I have started a whole process with people who are journeying.
Yeah.
People who journey, which is this amazing, fantastic way of stepping outside of this container, the psyche, the body.
I think that's one of the quickest ways, right?
It's a quick way to do it, to completely drop the walls that you have in your mind, if you will. But then when you come back, you're coming back this totally open experience where you felt your freedom, your creativity, you addressed your horrors, you addressed things in your life that you see that weren't working.
Right.
And then you accept it. You see how you are limitless.
And for people that don't know what journeying is, that means going on an ayahuasca. It's not
mushrooms,
it's
ketamine,
not peyote, right?
It can be anything. It can even be
it's a psychedelic experience.
Not always.
Oh.
Any journey that somebody should go through where they find an expansion, like what I'm saying, where they drop that veil.
Okay, so it doesn't matter the substance, it's more about
that veil.
The veil being dropped, but the walls coming down.
But
and
the
then
journeys that you're talking about
back into society.
Absolutely.
Is one of the hardest things that someone can experience.
And the journeys, there's a lot of people doing journeys like this.
Yes.
And they're looking for answers because it doesn't, their bodies don't feel right with what they feel.
Yeah, and the aftermath is extremely hard to integrate back into society, is what we're talking about, essentially. And you get this big download of your journey, what happened, for lack of better words. You receive all this information about your calling, what you should be doing, what you want to be doing, what you truly want to be doing with your life, how you want to be spending your time, who you want to spend your time with, and then you try to come back into society, and it's one of the most difficult things ever. It's like a culture shock.
Because you're coming back, your psyche.
It's like being let out of the box, and then you try to fit back into the box.
Well, your soul went on the journey. Your body didn't.
Your soul went on the journey, yes.
Your body did not.
Yes.
So you come back into this vessel that still has a tight jaw. Yes. That still is breathing really shallow.
Because we are here with these bodies, and we have to take care of them.
Absolutely, but you're coming back into this body.
Yes.
And it doesn't fit. So we need a process, and that's where the breath work really is
connecting.
It can help somebody connect it really quickly, a breathwork class, and how to be like, wow, okay, their body's open because their minds already were there and their bodies will follow just as quickly. And it's not a verbal thing. It's not a sit down and let's talk about it. It's not, I had this great experience and post it on Instagram. It's none of that. It's none of that. You have to feel it. You have to reclaim I call it cell reclamation. You have to reclaim your body
That's
with
so
the
good.
feelings that you are experiencing now and have that embed as the new program and
Wow.
not that old program. And the breath work
Yes.
helps you to do that.
Yes.
As my brother likes to say, it's not a breath vacation, it's breath work. You're gonna work.
You're putting in the work. I have felt that,
Yeah.
especially in my last session. I felt that.
Yeah.
I think my last session was my 6th or 8th or something like that, maybe the
Mhm.
6th. And it took all of that time to get over this threshold, and realize what was actually going on and all the things I was holding on to. And up until that point, I was like, is it working? Is it working? It's me versus me.
Your body will never
It's
lie.
not, is it working? Is it? Yes, it's working to break me down so I will get out of my own way.
Your body will never lie.
Yes.
It's our way of interpreting what it's saying.
That reminds me of that book called The Body Keeps the Score. That's
Yes.
a really good book.
Yes.
I know you know what
Yes,
it is.
I know exactly what it
That
is.
I
I don't remember who wrote it.
I don't remember who wrote it either. It came out years ago, and that's a really great reference point to start if you're not familiar with what your body's doing, or you're wanting to explore a little bit about your body's language and how it's speaking to you. That is a really great place to start. Do you also recommend
I
any
do.
other material?
Reichian therapy, I recommend
Yeah.
Orson Bean's book. Oh my God, I just went right. Me and the Orgone. See, this is what happens. Me and the Orgone by Orson Bean. It is his experience going through the therapeutic process, and I think it's brilliant. It's an easy read, and it just gives a great explanation. It isn't the be all and the end all of what the process can do, but it's a great starting point.
I'm gonna add those links in our caption and our little
Okay.
comment section.
And also go
Body
to
Keeps the Score.
our website. Go to the website, breathehealthcenterandservices.com, and there's more information there.